Stop scrolling for just a moment, because this might be the most important message you hear all week. We live in a world where one mistake can erase years of effort. One tweet, one word, one wrong moment, and boom, your name, your reputation, your confidence all under fire. But here's the truth no one tells you. You are not the sum of your worst moments. You are the power that rises after them. I'm Tony Robbins, and today I want to remind you that resilience, real resilience, isn't about never falling down. It's about becoming unbreakable when the world tries to break you. Owning your mistakes is one of the most liberating acts of personal power you will ever experience. See, most people spend their lives hiding from their errors, denying them, covering them up, or pretending they never happened. But what you resist persists. What you bury doesn't go away. It grows in the dark and begins to control you. The moment you take full responsibility for your actions, everything changes. You stop being a prisoner of guilt and start becoming a creator of growth. The truth is, your mistakes don't define you. How you respond to them does. The moment you own your story, no one else can weaponize it against you. It's like stepping into the arena of life fully exposed, saying, yes, I did that. Yes, I failed. But I also learned. I also evolved. There's an unshakable confidence that comes from radical ownership because it strips away fear. When you hide, you give power to your critics. When you own your truth, that power returns to you. You become untouchable, not because you're flawless, but because you're real. The key is to see every mistake not as a moment of shame, but as a moment of awakening, a mirror showing you where to grow next. You can't edit your past, but you can master its meaning. Stop defending your image and start deepening your character. When you face your flaws head on, you transform pain into purpose, embarrassment into evolution, and regret into momentum. That's how leaders are made. That's how resilience is born. Now, here's the next truth. Don't ever let public judgment define your private identity. We live in a time when the court of public opinion sits on a throne higher than truth itself. Everyone has something to say. Everyone's got a platform. And if you let their voices drown out your inner voice, you'll lose yourself in the noise. You can't control what they post, what they assume, or how they twist your story. But you can control what you believe about yourself. You can choose not to internalize their version of you. Because here's the thing, no one else has lived your pain, your process, or your purpose. They see a moment, you've lived a journey. When you allow the world to dictate your worth, you become reactive, constantly shifting who you are to please others. But the moment you choose authenticity over approval, you break free, you stop performing and start living. You stop trying to be liked and start being respected. True confidence doesn't come from applause. It comes from alignment. The strongest version of you doesn't exist in the spotlight. It exists in the silence when you're alone and still proud of the person you see in the mirror. Critics are temporary, but your relationship with yourself is forever. Protect that. Strengthen it. Because when you're grounded in your own truth, no storm of opinions can knock you down. That's real power. Not the power of popularity, but the power of peace. Forgiveness, not of others, but of yourself, is one of the hardest, yet most freeing acts you'll ever commit to. So many people stay stuck, replaying their past like a broken record, dragging old shame into every new opportunity. They want to move forward, but they're still punishing themselves for who they used to be. You can't heal if you keep reopening the same wound. The truth is, self-forgiveness isn't about denying responsibility. It's about reclaiming your power from the past. Every time you let go of the guilt that's been weighing you down, you create space for growth, creativity, and peace. You're not that same person who made those mistakes. You've learned, you've evolved, you've paid your dues through awareness. You have to give yourself permission to grow beyond your failures. People will try to keep you trapped in your past because it makes them feel safer when you stay small. But you're not obligated to live inside someone else's outdated version of you. Let them talk while you transform. Self-forgiveness is the art of saying, I'm still worthy, I still matter, I'm still becoming. Every great leader, every person who's ever made an impact has had to make peace with their imperfections. You can't serve others powerfully when you're at war with yourself. So release the blame, release the shame, and choose to rise with compassion for the person you once were. Because that version of you, the one that stumbled, gave you the wisdom to stand tall today. Resilience is built not when life is easy, but when it tests every ounce of who you are. The real growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in chaos. When everything falls apart, that's when your strength is forged. You see, people talk about resilience like it's some magical trait that a few are born with. That's not true. Resilience is trained. It's built through repetition, through showing up again and again when you don't feel like it. Every setback is a rep. Every rejection, a weight lifted in the gym of life. It's the muscle of comeback. The most powerful people you've ever admired, they weren't protected from pain. They were shaped by it. The question isn't why me? It's what now? Resilience doesn't mean ignoring your emotions. It means feeling them fully and moving anyway. You can cry, you can break, but you can't quit. Life is testing you for your next level, and the only way to pass is to stay in the fight. When you learn to dance with adversity instead of running from it, you stop being its victim and become its master. Every time you get knocked down and rise again, you rewrite your identity from fragile to fierce, from hurt to healed, from doubted to unstoppable. That's the beauty of resilience. It turns wounds into wisdom and pain into power. It's not about bouncing back to who you were. It's about bouncing forward into who you were meant to be. Most people think strength means never breaking, but true strength is the courage to be real, to show your scars, and to let your pain teach you something powerful. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's honesty. It's standing in front of your truth and saying, this is me, unfiltered, unpolished, but growing. You see, the world doesn't connect to perfection, it connects to authenticity. When you try to be flawless, you create distance. But when you show up as you are, imperfect, yet committed, you create trust, depth, and impact. Vulnerability is the bridge between isolation and connection. The people who rise to greatness aren't the ones who hide their fears, they're the ones who use them as fuel. When you admit, I'm scared, but take the step anyway, that's real courage. When you say, I've failed, but you still show up, that's power. The greatest transformation begins the moment you stop performing and start living your truth. Don't let fear of judgment stop you from being who you are. People's opinions fade, but your authenticity stays. In a world addicted to filters, the boldest thing you can do is show your unaided soul, because that's where your true strength lies. In your realness, not your image. When you learn to turn your pain into purpose, your vulnerability becomes your victory. The problem with our world today is that everyone's trying to win applause, not alignment. We chase validation like oxygen, likes, followers, approval. But that kind of success is hollow. It's a dopamine hit that fades fast. Real fulfillment doesn't come from external applause. It comes from internal alignment. You can have millions of fans and still feel empty inside if you're living someone else's definition of success. You've got to get brutally honest about what truly matters to you, not your parents, not society, not the algorithm, and you. When you live aligned with your values, your energy changes. You stop chasing and start attracting. People feel it. You radiate certainty, purpose, peace. Alignment means your thoughts, your words, and your actions all move in the same direction. That's where power is born. When you stop performing for approval and start acting from truth, your life stops being reactive and becomes intentional. You no longer move to please others. You move to honor your calling. Every choice becomes sacred. Every action carries meaning. This is what separates achievers from leaders. Achievers chase success, leaders embody it. You can't lead anyone until you've learned to lead yourself. So silence the noise. Stop seeking permission. When your soul and your actions finally agree, you become unstoppable, because that's when the world stops defining you and you start defining it. When the world cancels you, it's not the end. It's a test. Every rejection, every criticism, every false label people throw at you is a mirror reflecting how deeply you value external approval. But when you stop chasing acceptance and start anchoring into your purpose, something incredible happens. You become unshakable. You see, most people crumble when others disapprove of them because their identity is built on opinions, not principles. But the people who rise, the ones who truly transcend, are those who no longer negotiate their truth to fit in. The moment you stop fearing rejection is the moment you become truly free. The cancel culture mindset thrives on fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of being disliked, fear of standing alone. But real power doesn't come from playing it safe. It comes from standing firm in your integrity, even when it costs you comfort. You've got to ask yourself what's more painful, being misunderstood for your truth or being loved for your lie. You cannot lead. You cannot inspire. You cannot transform if your identity is fragile. Build your self-worth so strong that no label can define you. Let your actions speak louder than accusations. Let your growth be your rebuttal. When you move with authenticity, time always vindicates you. Don't shrink your light to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. Shine so bright that their opinions dissolve in your purpose. Forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for you. Holding on to anger,